In today's episode of Value on My Toy Collection, we're going to value some Xena Warrior Princess dolls, some Blossom dolls, some toys from Ugly Betty, some building blocks, and some board games. A lot of good stuff. Hey everyone, my name's Chris. I'm a full-time beauty pageant director as my career, but in my spare time, I'm a huge toy collector. I've been collecting toys now for over 40 years. You can officially call me a toyaholic. Thanks so much for checking out my YouTube channel. My channel consists mainly of two things: beauty pageants, which I love, and toys, which I love even more. My dream in life has always been to own a toy museum. So it's finally happened. I've bought a building, and now I've got to move this massive collection and value it into the building. We're calling it the Toy Vault because it's an old bank building located in Crystal Springs, Mississippi that actually has two large vaults. So now I'm just going to make a ton of videos and value my toy collection. Then I'm going to make some where I take you shopping with me to thrift stores and flea markets and toy stores to let you see where I find all these goodies. So let's start this episode of Value in My Toy Collection and value some toys. So let's jump right in and start valuing some toys. First, this Xena figure is worth about $8 loose. And then we have the Xena doll still in the original box. And she's the most valuable in the set. She's worth about $40. And then on the back, it shows all the different figures and dolls they have. And I'm actually missing one, so I'm going to have to find that on eBay. That's going to drive me crazy. All right, next up we have another Xena doll. This is the Armageddon Warlord doll, and she's worth about $25. You would think these would be worth a little bit more, but I guess maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with Xena or something. All right, the blonde warrior is named Callisto, and she's worth about $30. So I'm gonna turn it over and see on the back it's still the same figures, but I did a little research online. I think there's 6 different ones. And then we have the boy figure, and he is Eris, and he's worth about $30 as well. Let's move on to some games. We have a travel yacht. See, the box is pretty beat up, but the game's worth about $8. And then we have a big Yahtzee game that's starting to become vintage. It's worth about $19. And then we have a pack of the old scorecards you could get, and they're worth about $8. Then we have a vintage Yahtzee game with all the pieces. It's worth about $20. And then my family's favorite game, Kismet, we have a box of the score sheets worth about $10. Those are from the 70s. And then we have the original 1975 Kismet game worth about $20. We spent so much time playing that as a family. And then we have the 35th anniversary box set, and it's worth about $18. It's just like Yahtzee, except the dice are colored and you can get different sets. All right, then we have these little disposable games we picked up at the dollar store. I think these are mainly a 1 or 2 time play, and then you toss them out. But we have 5 of them, and they're worth about $5 each now. So that's about $25 for all of those. I have one more buried under this pile of stuff, the Guess Who game. So those are pretty cool. It's a good idea to have little travel games like that. We have this Bella Duke Montessori wooden puzzle. It's vintage, and they're a little valuable. They go about $15 to $20 on eBay. I'll say $15. And then we have the little vintage USA puzzle. It's worth about $5. And then we have some Survivor playing cards still in the original package. They're worth about $15. I have a little travel adventure bingo card. I have 2 of them. I never got to play these. I always wanted to when we took a trip, but they were $3 each. And then a little 2-pack of old maid cards worth about $7. And then we have the Yahtzee square that you could throw the dice in and play the game. It has a felt backing. It's worth about $25. It's pretty cool. So we have this book, Consider Amazon Originals. It's all their original TV shows and movies they made. And I think these were sent out to the selection committee for Emmy Awards. So those are kind of collectible. It's worth about $15, I think. And then we have a 1958 Sleeping Beauty game board, probably worth about $15. I couldn't find it anywhere online to get a value for, but I think to hang on the wall, it would be worth at least $15. And then from the 90s TV show Blossom, we have a loose Blossom doll, and she's worth about $15 loose. And then we have the whole set in the box. There were 3 of them. We have Blossom. She's worth about $26. I kind of thought they would be worth a little bit more than that, but that's what they're going for on eBay right now, is about $26. And then we have Joey. I think that was her brother on the show. And he's worth about $32. He's worth a little bit more. And when you turn them around, you see they had little pictures of the celebrity with a little write-up about them. I'm sure the little preteens probably cut those out and they put them on their walls and bulletin boards and stuff. But really good graphics on these dolls. And there were 3 in the set. The third one was her best friend. I think her name was Six, and she's worth about $26 as well. A really good TV show, though. And then we'll see the back of her. Yeah, she has the same cutout that the girls could use. Have a Grumpy Cat book worth about $6. If I was reincarnated into an animal, I think I would come back as Grumpy Cat. All right, we have this needlepoint of Big Bird in a custom frame worth at least $50. Someone spent a lot of time making that. Have this little Victorian house you hang on the wall from the 80s worth about $18. It kind of looks like that old home interior stuff. And then we have this little doorknob hanger. Growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional. Worth about $2. Needs a bath. And then this old vintage plastic airplane is worth about $10. And then we have this Heyo Kailan Special Places little play set. And it's worth about $18. All right, from Ugly Betty, we have a box of Valentine cards. It has all the celebrities pictured on the box. It's worth about $15. Anytime you have celebrities on a toy or an item, it usually increases the value because as they get older, it shows what they look like younger. Here's a little picture of the whole cast of Ugly Betty. It's worth about $2. And then we have the Madame Alexander doll available only at Toys R Us. That's worth about $35. I kind of thought that was going to be worth a little bit more than that, but that's what it's going for. And then if you want to be Ugly Betty, we have an Ugly Betty costume with her poncho and wig and jewelry and still in the box. So this is worth about $35. Little red Shower Hut kids piano worth about $50. Now let's move on to some of our building blocks. We have a lot of these. We have a Little Tikes waffle block set still in the box worth about $15. And then from the 50s or 60s, we have these awesome American plastic bricks container full of the bricks. I love the graphics on these. These are worth about $30 each. And we also have the original instructions booklet with it. That's pretty cool. Round container of Tinker Toys from 1986 worth about $20, and this bag of Play School Village blocks worth about $20. And then from 1988 we have this little game called Copycat. It's kind of like a Simon game. It's worth about $10. And then from Leapfrog Jr. we have the globe. It's worth about $25. You touch it and it tells you all the different countries. Have a vintage Brickyard supply container full of bricks. It's worth about $25. And then we have this Blockhead game from 1975 worth $15. The box of Bristol blocks is worth about $12. And this 1978 Play School wood block set is worth about $15. Our lot blocks still in the box are worth about $10. And then we have some Tinker Toys, the basic set. They're worth about $18. Then we have some Play School 1970s bricks worth about $20. Some wood beads worth about $12. Another thing of Tinker Toys worth $15, and some Play School letter wood blocks worth about $10. In the back, we have the newer Super Macket toy set worth about $15. Then we have this old set of Tinker Toys worth about $20, and this big bucket of Play School blocks worth about $20, and a can of Pixie Sticks worth about $13. This big bucket of colored blocks worth about $15, and some vintage Lincoln Logs from the late 60s worth $25, and a Play School Village block set worth $25. Found this old Barbie puzzle worth about $13. And then we have some newer puzzles. This Blockbuster puzzle from Titanic's worth $15. And then we have one from the Breakfast Club, also worth $15. And then our final one is the Back to the Future 2 puzzle, also worth $15. And then here's my beautiful helper Daisy watching me videotape everything. At a Hungry Hippo game worth about $15. I might put that on the wall. And then some Rock'em Sock'em robots that are newer worth about $20. Then we have this Disney Princess Chutes and Ladders worth $30 at least. Some people were selling it for $70. Have a Monopoly game worth about $20. And then we have a Rodney Dangerfield 1985 No Respect game worth $25. I have SpongeBob Monopoly. It's also worth about $25. And then we have the steel sealed Marvelous Mrs. Maisel life game worth about $18. Now some smaller games we have. This Fisher Price cookie game is worth about $15. And this vintage silly putty is worth about $7. And then we have the Yellowstone Monopoly game. It's worth $40. It's still sealed. That's such a good show. Then we have this vintage little set of Jack still on the card worth about $12. That's probably from the 50s or 60s there. Then we have this little My Quinceanera card game. It's worth about $12. Then we have a Lord of the Rings puzzle in a metal container. It's worth about $20. And then we have this break-in Alcatraz game worth about $13. This Nickelodeon trivia game in a metal box worth about $16. And then we have a Monopoly Unicorns and Llamas game, still sealed, worth about $18. A Modern Family game's worth $25. And then this Emerald City Opoly game, still sealed, is worth about $30. Then we have a Ms. Monopoly game worth about $18. And then we have a Bruce Jenner Decathlon game, and it's worth $35. And then we have this Trails game, still in the box sealed, worth about $14. I have a vintage Haiku game, probably from the 60s, worth about $15. And Yeti and My Spaghetti, that's worth about $15. This office puzzle is worth about $11. We have a Melissa and Doug Hangman game worth about $15. And a Seinfeld Scene It game in a metal box worth about $20. From the 60s or early 70s, we have Disney's Bedknobs and Broomsticks game, and it's worth about $30. And the Cars Operation game is worth about $20. Then we have some vintage games here from the 50s and 60s. We have this Scrabble 1970 Senate's game worth $15. I love their outfits and the graphics on that box. I guess you pronounce this Tripoli. This game's worth about $15. We have another Yahtzee game. I won't value that one. We'll probably sell that one since we have two. We'll make sure ours is complete. We have this game called Flinch. It is worth about $15. And we have a Big Boggle game from 1975 worth $20. All right, we've got this little Fun Foods card pack that's worth about $3. And then we have one of the original IQ Tester games. This is worth about $15. I love that game. I have a little desktop basketball game worth about $7 now. And we have a Skip-Bo card game set worth $15. I have a little desktop skee-ball game worth about $7. And a Monopoly community chess game down at the bottom worth about $8. And then we have this little vintage basketball game. This is from the 60s, I believe. And this little guy's worth $15. And then we have this little feminist card game that's worth about $10. I have a Bananagrams game worth about $7. And a Jeff Foxworthy's You Might Be a Redneck calendar worth about $10. This Nickelodeon game is worth about $15 in the tin. And these Piranha cards are worth about $5. And then we have some tarot cards worth about $3. And we have these little homemade cards worth at least $1. And a pack of Clue cards still in the box worth about $10. And we have this little mousetrap game from the 60s worth about $5. And a little pack of Uno cards to go worth about $4. Some old Pier 1 cards worth at least $1 since it's got a rip on the package. And some old made cards worth about $3. And then we have the little snake brain teaser game worth about $10, kind of like a Rubik's Cube. And then a Woolly Willy magnetic face game worth $6. I have another office puzzle worth about $11. And then we have this fun whack-a-mole game, and still in the box, it's worth about $25. All right, from the late 70s or early 80s, we have these little jelly bean plush. They're worth about $5 each. These were actually mine as a kid. I just need to give them a bath. Then we have a Magic 8 Ball, and it's worth about $7. From Nickelodeon, we have the Loud House figure set worth $35. Then we have this kaleidoscope that's going for about $10 on eBay. And then we have a vintage one from 1973 that's worth about $12. And then we have a Slinky still in the box, and it's worth about $15. And then we have these little games. They're a Pesco nose dexterity games, puzzle games from Germany. I actually got these when I worked at Pier 1 a long time ago. And they're worth $20 each. On eBay, some people have them listed $40 and $50, which is crazy. They're really cool, but that's a lot of money to pay for those. So we'll say $20 each. So that's another $100 we can add to our toy collection total. You just never know how much stuff it's going to be worth. That's why you always have to look it up. And then I spelled out the word blocks to put in front of our block section at the Toy Museum, and that's probably worth at least $2. So that's everything we have. Let's see what it's all worth. So in our previous 431 videos of value on my toy collection, our total was $1,063,381. Now with this video, we can add all of our cool stuff like the Xena dolls, the Blossom dolls, the Ugly Betty, the board games, and the puzzles. And it comes out to be $2,223 we can add to our total. So that means our overall grand total now for episode 432 of value on my toy collection is $1,065,604. I always wanted to say I had $1 million toy collection, and now I can. But I kind of consider myself a toyonaire. I'm not a millionaire because I've just been saving toys all my life, going to thrift stores, flea markets, garage sales, looking online, and just wherever I can find them. And it's just accumulated to this big old total. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying these videos as much as I am making them. I love seeing what all I have and what it's worth. I'm putting all the toys on our Facebook page, which is called the Toy Vault of Mississippi. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please think about doing so. It really helps us to grow. And until our next video, guys, we will see you then.